Hi. It's been a while, hasn't it? Oh my goodness. It is January and it's finally 2021. I have been so insanely busy over the holidays with Christmas and just getting through everything that had to do with church and family and new responsibilities with taking food every day next door to grandma and grandpa. It's been busy, to say the least. Before I get any further, let's address the fact that I have been cold all day. That's why I look ridiculous, but I don't care. I'm warm, so part of me wants to apologize that it's been so long since I've vlogged last, but it's just been crazy. It's slowing down now, so I feel like it's not going to be such a big gap again like it was this last time. I'm sorry, but oh well. So as you have already seen, it tried to snow earlier today, but right after that, it was about it. It didn't ever do any more than that, and it never stuck to the ground. So it was fun to watch. Okay, so let's recap. So Christmas came and went. Kids got more than enough toys, for sure.
I'm gonna catch it. Let me catch it.
That flying ball is probably the coolest, I would say. Ellie also got a shopping cart that looks like an actual shopping cart, but it's a tiny one, so I think that's cool. That's fun. That's another one of my favorites. Looks just like a regular basket. It's just tiny. Isn't this cute? It even swivels. We use it to put away laundry and pretend that we're shopping, and it's actually kind of useful. It's super cute. At one point, I accidentally pulled lemongrass out of my garden that I actually thought was a weed. That was a sad day when I learned what I had done, but it was too late.
It's not a purple onion, even though it kind of looks like onion, like a bunch of weird small ones grouped together. It's not onion. It could almost be mistaken as a weed, but here's the deal. It doesn't even smell like onion. This smells like ginger. I do not know what ginger looks like. Maybe it looks like this. Tall, lanky, spidery, kind of weedy. There's nothing down in here that indicates that it was part of ginger that came from the compost or something. But it smells just like ginger. I'm super confused. It's a mystery.
I think Ellie wants to be a ballerina. So there's that. We have baby goats that are getting quite large now, but Piety had 2 babies, and I think all in all we probably had about 15 babies. Out of all of them, a few of them died, but that's typical when they have triplets. But yeah, we had quite a few babies, so there's a lot of goats out there now.
Well, surprise, surprise. Look who had a baby. I think he's bored. Yes, you. I'm talking about you.
I did cover my peppers, the roots, with old leaves from the pecan tree, and I was trying to overwinter them, so I'm really, fingers crossed, hoping that they are going to come back in the spring. I have no idea if they will. They might not. I did already prune them. That might have been too soon. I don't know. But we're going to see. Because I heard that you can overwinter them and then they can come back. And they can be better each year. And the pecan peppers, Sam does that to his. And those things are kind of delicate and the little limbs are thin and they come back. So why not? Why not my bell peppers? I think they could. I mulched up around my pepper plants. It frosted and it looked terrible here. I chopped everything off. Maybe that was a mistake, but I went ahead and did it. And I mulched up with leaves from the pecan tree because it's pretty much bare now and we've just gotten buckets and buckets of pecans. It's almost ridiculous. But I have now mulched up around these peppers, and I'm hoping to overwinter them to get them to come back. They may not. If they don't, oh well. But at least we can see. We're giving it a try. I had actually filmed a whole nother vlog before, and I've done this in the past several times where I film it, and I even said in the vlog, I'm not going to have time to update till January. And I literally had no time to even edit and post that one. Oh well. But I do want to talk about plans for the garden for spring. The seeds I've already started. Seeds that I've bought recently. Not all of them, just kind of an overview of my ideas and what my newest experiment is. Okay, so I'm just going to take a notebook and I'm going to start making notes in it of everything that I'm doing from this year, January, and then on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to date it, and then every time I make a note, it's going to be kind of like a journal. I'm going to write down every every seed that I have started and everything that sprouted, like what sprouted first, and put a date on it, like the day I noticed it. Just write it down. That way I have notes telling me what sprouted first, so I know what germinates the fastest. Like added tomatoes. And I started 5 of everything, so I'm going to see out of those 5 what survives, what's going to make it, what doesn't. But so far I've already started okra and all my tomatoes. And out of all of my tomatoes, I will make a list, and I can maybe do more in depth on the next vlog. But for this one, the first one out of like 13 different varieties that I have started, 5 of each in the little cups, I can show them to you, is the German pink tomato. And then right behind it is the Paul Robeson tomato, both from Baker Creek. And last year I got started really, really late. Didn't start them indoors. I have a big jump on it this time, and they did not do well for me because when they started to get big enough to really produce, it was the hottest part of the year. And I swear the hottest part of the year goes on for months. So between like June, especially July, all the way through September, it can be scorching. And it just kills the tomatoes and they just can't do well. So if you've gardened longer than I have, you definitely know that. But it's nice to have a jump on it this time, have successful sprouts coming up. I have a little seedling heat mat underneath, and I think it's kind of helping keep stuff warm. But I've had success putting it where I do inside the house and spritzing with water and being very careful to pour water on. I think you could take like an ice cube and sit it on each cup and just let it slowly melt to saturate the dirt. But you might want to wait to do that after it germinates because ice is cold and you want it to get warm so it can germinate. I don't know if that would affect a seed or not, but it might, which would make sense. So I might not do that until it gets established and bigger, probably. So in my next vlog, I would like to kind of show what's going on in the garden, how much my plants have grown, the things that I have out there that even in the frost, it was sleeting today and trying to snow. It's been pretty cold and it's lightly frosted, and I think it froze like once or twice, but not super hard because it never gets below 30. But I have cabbage that's doing really good. I have radishes that are doing fine. But I will say that the radish that I had that had gotten so big and it put on all of those seed pods, it was doing just fine and the seeds were growing and they were getting big. And then the first frost came and I guess it stunted it because they weren't done and it died. So my point for bringing that up really is the fact that, you know, if something is doing good and it's frost hardy, if it's trying to make seeds and it's not like lettuce maybe, it may not take that well because maybe it was just other things that affected it, but they had seeds in them. They just weren't fully developed and then dried. Some of them were hollow and others were like getting there, but not there all the way. So that was disappointing because I left it for months and months and months and it didn't do anything. But as for everything in the garden, as for the box, I will leave that for the next vlog. But the seed starting and the note taking is my newest experiment. And this is something that's good because it'll also show me like when I last planted radishes and carrots, and then that reminder to succession plant so that at least while something is in season to be grown, if it prefers cooler weather, that before it gets too hot, I have succession planted so that I get more of a harvest. And I'm trying to harvest my own seeds so that I don't keep buying them all the time. But I have bought a couple of new varieties of tomato. I did get the Brad's Atomic grape tomatoes that I've heard taste amazing. And I really love small tomatoes because they grow faster. And also I got some miniature cherry tomato plants that grow to just be like in a little pot. They're going to be real tiny. I just kind of want to see how these different plants do, especially getting that opportunity to start them indoors this time. And then just like personal preference at that point, if I can get them to do well and they're not difficult to grow for some strange reason, like they're prone to disease or something because they are heirlooms, that I can at least decide which ones I like and what does good here. I know black cherry tomatoes can take the heat well, and I was able to harvest several Cherokee purple tomatoes, which were very, very tasty. But all of my others, which I'll keep track of in the future here, I did not have an easy time with them at all, but that's because I started too late. And just to reference another experiment that I had started talking about that did not work out, but I still have hopes for playing with in the future, is to take suckers off of tomato plants, root those in water, replant them, and like late fall, take those suckers, do that, plant it, keep it inside through the winter, and then have a really mature new tomato plant of that particular variety to put out into the garden for spring. I do think that's a good idea, but what stopped me was the fact that I had an issue with late blight that hit my tomatoes, my potatoes, and sort of spread to like everything on that one end of the garden. And I had also said, I'm not putting tomatoes back in this box, but I cannot remember the name of it. It's some kind of copper something, I think, that Sam mixed up in a sprayer, and we would just periodically, like once a week, start spraying. And you stay ahead of it. Like, you know, late blight, early blight, and late blight are going to be a problem for you. And it's just going to happen. That's part of why you have to do a second wave of tomatoes, you know, that late summer into fall before it gets too cold, late fall, early winter, so that you get a whole nother batch of really healthy tomatoes, because your plants get sick. And around here it gets too hot, so they can't take it. So my observation thus far here in central Texas, I believe we're 8B or 9A on our zone. It just gets so stinking hot for so long. Tomatoes do not like super cold, and they do not like super hot. So getting that balance that they like is difficult here, even with shade. So I have high hopes for more success on that, but it may just take some time, and I might have to keep trying as far as the suckers are concerned. But everything else, I feel like keeping track of stuff is going to help a lot. Taking more notes. I try to watch videos on YouTube of those that have been gardening much longer than I have, but I think this is a fun ride to go on, and I'm going to love looking back at this and then laughing at myself. But also just, it's good for so many reasons. We have family memories, it's just good. It's good to see how much I've learned and to be able to really test out whether or not I was right about these experiments. So we'll see. As for new seeds, like I said, I got a couple of new tomatoes. The one other tomato that I did get was a white currant cherry tomato. They are literally white with a tinge of yellow to them. And it said that they grow prolifically. I have bought all my seeds from Baker Creek online at rareseeds.com. And the rest have come from Dollar Tree because they're 4 for $1. But believe it or not, the sage seeds I bought over there came up. They're super healthy plants and they're still alive outside. I did not think that that would happen. And I had gotten a tiny rosemary plant, one of those organic ones you get at Walmart in the produce department inside. I had planted that thing outside and it really started to grow well. And then I was kind of scared that it wasn't going to make it through winter. So I took several different clippings. I have roots on them. I need to plant them. I'm going to share them with some other friends that are trying to get their garden started. And I thought, you know, I'll just kind of create sort of like a little savings account of rosemary where I bought that plant and I nurtured it and I don't want it to die just in case it doesn't make it through the winter. And like, let's say it went dormant and it didn't come back, because I'm actually not totally sure what rosemary does in the cold, but I didn't want to lose it. So I figured if I just did that, then I could at least have healthy rosemary to put back out there. But everything that's kind of on the surface has taken a hit, but I can tell down at the bottom, it's not dead and there's still green growth down there. So I think it's just, it doesn't like the cold, obviously, but it seems to be pretty hardy. And some of those stems are real woody. So I think it's going to be okay. And my carpet oregano is gotten really bushy, so I'm going to break those chunks off. And I'm going to share some with some other friends as well. But I'm going to separate them out because they were just these little handfuls. Jessica, don't you remember? They were just little handfuls. I know you're watching. But they were so small and they were cute and healthy and everything. And they were just like this. Well, now it's just this big thing of carpet oregano. It's huge. And I would say, excuse me, it's probably like 3 by 4. And when I pulled that chunk off, it didn't hurt it at all. Not that plant or the chunk that I pulled off. And I just replanted it. So I'll do that a couple more times and I'll share the rest of it because it's just going to spread out again anyway. And oh, the other thing I was going to do is I'm going to move both my tarragon plants and put them out along our fence in the front and kind of use them for landscaping because they're real pretty and bushy. So I'll get them out of the box because when they fill out, they get huge. I might have to move the pecan plant that's out there. Excuse me, pecan. Patine. I always say pecan. I don't know why. Chili patine plant may have to be moved because when it fills out, it just gets bigger every year. And I'm going to have that whole other section, which is probably like 8 feet at least by like 8 by 2 area. 8 by 2, maybe 8 by 2 area of the garden that's taken up, which is carpet oregano, tarragon, and then that pepper that need to all be moved out or just out of the way. And it's going to give me a lot more room because I'm going to put all the vines on that side and they're going to go out into the lane, which worked really good with the strawberry watermelon. I have several smaller watermelon varieties now that I'm going to plant, as well as that one. And then an orange glow watermelon, which gets really big, super orange on the inside. And it's going to vine out everywhere. I got Kakuzi gourd vines that I'm going to plant. Cucumbers, things like that. I seed swapped with someone who is giving me Kahari melon and Chinese red noodle beans. And I shared some of my seeds with her. So I'm excited about that. That was my first seed swap. And I've got all kinds of melons, all kinds of herbs and such, plenty of flowers, which I'm going to be starting probably tomorrow. So one way or the other, that box is going to have a lot in it, but I would like it to be more productive, successful, and established when it gets out there. And I think one of my #1 goals this year for 2021 is to have that experience where I know more, because I learned a lot last year and there's so much I still don't know. But with what I do know and what I have access to information wise, which is like worldwide information because you have the internet, I have the ability to get the knowledge that I need if I don't know the answer. Like, does such and such plant go dormant in the winter or whatever? And I can find all that out. I got ground cherries too. Very excited about those because I had such a good time with tomatillos. I think I could do well with those too. So plans, thoughts. Oh, I was going to say that when I have my garden, I've moved some stuff out. I made more room. I start early. I've got new seeds, all this exciting stuff. I've got more knowledge than I've ever had. I've got this big box to work with. Stuff is looking good for 2021, better than 2020 for sure. But I'm in a place where I want to be able to figure out how to propagate growth or take cuttings or break apart certain plants that I have that just spread out like that carpet oregano and be able to share with other people. So that's one thing I want to be able to do. The other thing I want to be able to do is save so many seeds that I can give them as gifts, possibly seed swap for seeds I do want, if that comes to, fruition. And somebody's got seeds that I want. And just the ability to share really is what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to save more than enough for myself. Learn what I like, learn what does well, take all my notes, do as much vlogging as I can. I want to do it every Sunday and post it like every Sunday or every Monday. But sometimes life doesn't allow that. But if it's up to me, that's what I want to do. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. But yeah, that's my goal. And I think it's a good goal because I want to learn. I want to journal it. I want to vlog it. I want to be able to harvest the ability to plant a whole new garden by saving so many seeds. I think after the year that we all just got through, I think if we all had goals to do something that would be God honoring and help thy neighbor would be a good goal for all of us to have right now. I don't think that we need to be selfish or only think about ourselves. I would like to be the kind of person that not only has more than enough for us, but enough for other people who don't have. So I guess that's about it. I will show you my sprouts. Okay, so look at these little cuties. These are just little cups from Walmart. It's like $2 for, I want to say like 100. And they're pretty cheap. I got these little red solo cups down here. But you get even less for more, and I wouldn't recommend that. And I'm going to try to save them for seed starts for the future if they hold up. But if they don't, they don't. That's okay. They weren't that much. So, as you can see, I have a whole bunch of seeds, and I still have several more to do, and I got to do the succession planning and starting indoors, but this is the start of it. So I've got tame jalapeno, I've got some Black Beauty eggplant, I've got beefsteak tomato, that was from Dollar Tree, Roma, which I harvested myself from one from the store. But look at these little babies. And they're looking green and healthy, and they're tiny, and I put one seed per because I want to see how they do without having to thin them out and waste seeds. The first ones that came up, like I said, were the German pink, and now I have the Paul Robeson coming up. So we're gonna see what we can get here, and they're looking good so far. Thanks for listening to me babble. I welcome myself back to YouTube. It's been a while, and I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Bye.
Wow, Snow, let's open the window, please.
No.
Wow, Snow.
Do you think it'll snow enough to stick to the ground?
Hurry.
Probably. What about you, Ollie? Yeah?
Oh, yay. Is it Christmas? Is it still Christmas?
No.
What snows in the Christmas?
No. Sometimes. But not just at Christmas. It can snow in the winter. Pretty much any time.
I see lots of snow.
I know those goats are cold. They're all hiding.